Dr. Wonkai. I'm already into the 420, damn it.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show, brought to you live on Lifestyle Radio. I'm Kim Cooper, your joint host this evening, and our regular host, Al Graham, is off sick this evening. Sadly, Al is having some medical issues, and he is currently in hospital. Al, I hope you're listening, and we're all pulling for you, hon, and hope you're back on the air with us, bright and bushy-tailed next week. This evening, we have a great guest with us tonight. It's Tracy Lamourie from Get Repped, Lamourie Publicity. She is joining me this evening on the show. I usually do a news segment with my co-host Al at this time, but we're going to change things up and we're going to bring our guest in early, and she's going to join me to talk about some news. Good evening, Tracy. How are you, hon?
Hi there, Kim. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for joining us this evening. Always lovely to have you on as a guest, a great friend of the show.
Wonderful to be on once again. Thank you so much. Always appreciate it and always have a good time.
Oh, for sure.
Some important stuff going on, I guess, in the news already.
Yeah, lots going on in the news today. Apparently, I don't have a whole lot of details on a lot of it, but apparently, according to a post on social media from Kirk Tusaw, a prominent lawyer in the cannabis business industry, there's been more raids in Canada. Apparently, some shops in BC as well as Ontario have been reportedly raided today. We do know for sure one of them is Chris Clay from Warmland Medicinal Services out in BC, but no word yet on the ones in Ontario.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like there's no let up in law enforcement and municipalities still wanting to pick on dispensaries, no matter how close we get to the potential July 18th legalization date. So it kind of shows that just want to control the marketplace more than any quote-unquote threat to public safety or whatever they try to do.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, the raids continue, completely ludicrous. Legalization coming in under 11 months now, and yet we have dispensaries being raided. Now, and a majority of these dispensaries are servicing patients only as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad situation to see people being charged, lives being disrupted, businesses turned upside down, court costs, lawyers' fees, and clogging of our provincial systems.
I've just seen now, we're sort of looking to see if we can get another name on social media as to who else might have been raided today. And according to a 4 hours ago post, in addition to Warmland, which I guess is on Vancouver Island, also a place called Turp City was at the same time. This person Amanda Oram was posting 2 raids on the island happening right now, Turp City and Warmland, and that was 4 hours ago. Would have been 4 o'clock Eastern time, so I guess 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So
wow,
just waiting to see what's developing in that regard.
Yeah. So if any of our listeners out there are aware of any of the Toronto or Ontario dispensaries being raided, drop one of us a line. We'd love to get some more information on it so that we can let our viewers, our listeners know what's going on. I have spoken with Chris Clay. Warmland will reopen as scheduled tomorrow morning, so they are not allowing this raid to stop them.
Nice. Yeah, it's really impressive to see how many of these dispensaries really, stand up tall and really, honestly believe in what they're doing. And I read an article somewhere along the line. I can't remember now if it was in the Hamilton Spectator or the Star, but it was speaking to kind of how, from a law enforcement perspective or a police perspective, this is kind of almost confusing to them. An officer was talking about how they go in and they do raids or whatever, or normally in a quote-unquote drug environment, everybody's, ducking for cover and dispersing and everything, and they come into a cannabis dispensary and we're all, with our arms crossed, like, what? We're doing the right thing here. And I know, was it at Royal Pharmacy, a dispensary there in Hamilton that was raided back in December? The wife of the owner had told me that the police officer that came in there had actually, for most of it, he was just sort of sitting in the corner shaking his head, and he said to her, I never even want to do this again. You guys are nice people.
Yeah.
And so I think, we're teaching, even though, I think we're like our lesson, I don't know, even though I guess the orders are coming down and people are still being raided, I don't think that they feel good about what they're doing. I think that we really, we've known for a long time that we're on the side of the angels, so to speak, but the Canadian public, I think, is on the side of dispensaries. And as someone here in Hamilton was saying, they vote with their dollars every day with lineups around the block at dispensaries around the country. So
that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And the majority of the police forces, the independent or the individual police officers, they don't want to be there. They don't want to be doing this. They understand this is a business. People are voting with their dollars. People are voting with their feet. They're showing up at these places. They're busy. There's lineups, as you say. The cops don't want to do it. They're getting orders from above. It's the councils and the towns. Yeah, the councils and towns and all of them. Go ahead.
And more than one Hamilton dispensary was telling me months back that they had police officers, Toronto police officers as customers coming here an hour up the highway to Hamilton because they had gotten orders that, you don't want to be found in at any raids in a dispensary. But a lot of these officers are patients too. So they were coming up to dispensaries in Hamilton and telling the people, oh yeah, I'm a cop in Toronto, but, I'm a patient. Here's my, whatever. So, yeah, really interesting.
And they can't go to their neighborhood.
Definitely turned.
Yeah, they can't go to their neighborhood dispensary for fear of repercussions from their jobs and then people around them and so forth. It's really sad, considering the grand scheme of things. People want this. It's government and city officials and, police chiefs that need to get on board with the whole thing. In other news, yeah, for sure. You also were recently attended a court case. You want to tell us a little bit about what's going on with the hearing?
Sure. Yeah. Recently, and again, I reference Hamilton. July, I believe it's 27th or 28th. A building here in Hamilton that houses two cannabis-related businesses, both by different owners. One, the Hamilton Village Dispensary, which at one time was Cannabis Culture before the Cannabis Culture nationwide raids, and now it's under new ownership, but still a dispensary. And upstairs lives Cloud 9, which is a vapor lounge, and that's owned by Brittany and Gara, who I understand you're having on next week, who used to be the owner of Cannabis Culture. So basically now we have two different businesses, both cannabis related, both under different ownerships, but living in the same building, the lounge and one a dispensary. And unlike the previous, I know of about a couple of dozen, I should say I know about 15 dispensaries in Hamilton. Media's quoted that there's 23 of them now, so there's a whole bunch of them, but this is the only dispensary that's got a court, or a city trying to give a court injunction actually to shut them down. Now previously, a few months back, every dispensary and their landlord did receive threatening cease and desist letters, but as far as I know, nothing came of those. Though some of them were criminally charged and are charged and are going through other proceedings now. But this letter now is a new thing. Again, it was just against the Hamilton Village Dispensary and Cloud 9, which exist in one building together on King Street East in Hamilton. And basically, the city is seeking an injunction to have them shut down immediately. It was to be shut down yesterday, but they're fighting it with Kirk Tuxaw and Jack, the local representation of that law office, as their counsel. And they are fighting the city. Yesterday we were in court at that proceeding, we ended up being in court for 2 or 3 hours, waiting for a 15-minute proceeding where it was held over to Thursday. But what they were actually trying to do is get an injunction to immediately stop their business, and I guess they're basically threatening to take the building. It's got to that serious point now. It's not like they're just earlier threatening letters. They're threatening to take the building. I can't remember what the word is now when they take the building for proceeds of crime or whatever it is, but they would appropriate the building. So they're basically under serious threat of closure. And also the fear is, too, that, of course, if the city is successful in shutting that one dispensary down by way of an injunction, it's going to be a clear sign that this is the way they can go about shutting down the others. On the other side of things, Brittany's hoping that if the cannabis community wins this one, that the city will then, basically have to do zoning and bylaw and be accommodating of dispensaries formally in the way that some jurisdictions in BC have.
Okay, so this could be the line in the sand case then for allowing completely or disallowing completely.
Yeah. So the stakes are pretty high on this. So
wow, and as you said, Jack Lloyd is the one that's representing for.
Yeah.
So
he was in Hamilton yesterday. And so basically yesterday, Hamilton, Jack Lloyd was in Hamilton, Brittany was in court, their landlord at that building was in court, I was in court observing, and we're all heading back to court tomorrow morning. That's Thursday, August 24th, at 10 a.m., right back at the Hamilton courthouse to see where this is going to go. And I believe that tomorrow Jack is going to actually be arguing against the injunction, and it may be the deciding. I don't think it's going to be, I'm not sure if it's going to be put off again, but I think tomorrow may be the deciding day because obviously the dispensary doesn't want to get shut down. They want to be able to continue to serve their customers. They don't want their customers to lose access to them and to disperse. And the city obviously is hoping that that's what will happen. And,
for sure.
So it's kind of it's a battle
big
to see
day.
where this goes.
So big day tomorrow. For all our listeners out there. Yeah, all our listeners out there, if they want to hear a great lawyer argue this case and get the facts behind it, and as well as showing up for a show of support for the Hamilton area and for dispensaries nationwide. If you're able to attend court, please do. Show of force and people in the courtroom makes a big difference and can sway a judge's decision. So if you're available to attend court, not only just for a show of support, but as I said, to hear one of the great lawyers in Ontario argue for a cannabis community case, it's an opportunity to hear Jack Lloyd speak tomorrow in the Hamilton City Court, and I encourage everybody to attend.
And they had asked me to just let you know that if you want to, they're going to be continuing to put updates on the Cloud9 Head Shop and Vapor Lounge Facebook and Twitter pages. So that would be where you can get updates on, what's happening with the proceedings, if they're going to do any kind of press conference, what the lawyers are saying and that kind of thing. I know they had gathered a few affidavits. They had a very short period of time to do it just yesterday and today. But we're gathering a few affidavits from patients as to why they use the dispensaries as opposed to LPs, why that's important and that kind of thing. So I imagine we'll be presenting that to the judge, and hopefully, we'll have the same kind of luck that a lot of these cases have had where things have been decided in patients' favor. And also, we've been talking about the dispensaries, but if I can say real quickly, just about vapor lounges in general, I'm a Toronto girl. And the last decade, we've had a ton of different vapor lounges in Toronto, and that's something I'm really familiar with. And it would, to me, it's like a huge loss if we don't have that. Now, Hamilton, we pretty much just have Cloud9, a smaller place called Hamilton Vape. There was another little one. So there's not as much of a culture here. And to lose any of them, I think, is really terrible, because what people don't realize now, especially with the recent changes to the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, is there's a lot of people, particularly in the cannabis community, for example, maybe on ODSP, if they're actual patients that aren't well, and if they're living in any kind of public housing after the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, they're not allowed to smoke at home legally. Or
That's
other
right.
patients may not be comfortable smoking around, in a residence where children live, or in a place where it may bother neighbors in close quarters. So vapor lounges actually are an essential service to the community, and also providing a space for a social space for people who might otherwise be stigmatized, and also a social space for people who like to stay away from alcohol, whether for religious reasons, medical reasons, personal reasons. You know, so for all kinds of reasons that I think municipalities would appreciate if they actually understood what vapor lounges are. I think they're an essential service, and I would really hate to see Hamilton lose that.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Tracy. We don't have anything like that in Northern Ontario anywhere. You go past Barrie, you will not find a vapor lounge in this province, and that is very sad. I had the opportunity to run an open house and open my house up as a sort of a vapor lounge safe consumption site is what I chose to call it, during a festival that we had here in our small town last weekend. And I invited, festival goers to, if they needed a safe consumption site, they could join me here.
Amazing.
And I got a really, I got a small number of people, but a number of people did show up, and I got a chance to pass on some education. And we need more of those safe consumption sites available for cannabis consumers, not less. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, thank you very much for doing the news with me, Tracy.
No, not at all. And that's the news.
And that's our bit of a news segment.
That's the day it was.
Today in Ontario and in Canada's cannabis community. So for those of you that may not be aware, and I don't think there's anybody out there that would apply to, but just in case, we have with us Tracy Lamourie from Tracy Lamourie's Get Repped. Tracy is a long-time member in the cannabis community. She's been thoroughly involved with our community on a number of levels, not only in business, but also on a personal basis. Tracy joins me tonight from the Hamilton area. As you may have noticed, a lot of our discussion was on the Hamilton area, as that's where she lives. Tracy, your Get Repped business, you represent so many people, not only in the cannabis community, but also in the music industry, entertainment industry, so many different businesses, but a large portion of it is in the cannabis community. For a bit of history on you, how did you get involved with being a cannabis advocate?
Oh gosh, well, I obviously as a smoker and like my first demo that I attended, I don't even remember. I don't think it was a 420 back then, but it's where I first learned that cannabis could make could make clothes, and I thought that was crazy. It was way back when I was 20, probably in 1991 or 1992 at City Hall in Toronto. But I was just a face in the crowd back then. And but I've always been, obviously a personal user. And then when I found out how much it helped with my medical issues, which is extreme nausea, I turned to it as a way to, remain functional without drugs or without staying in bed all the time. And from there, I became, a regular at some of the lounges, and some of the personalities there, people that hung out there, like Matt Murnaugh, became my friends. And at that time, he was working on a book. I just published the Marijuana Smoker's Guidebook, and he knew I was a publicist, and he asked me if I would, work on that. And then I was working with Treating Yourself. I think by the time of their second expo, I was doing some work for them, and that brought me into the community as well, and just met, all the wonderful people. And so I couldn't even name all my experiences and the people and things and places. It's been a long, long time now. And,
it's been a long time. Yeah,
it's been a while.
Book's been out for a while now. I've owned a copy for several years. I know Matt Murnaugh as well. We all do. Great fan, great friend of the show as well, and all his shows. So, I mean, it just goes to show you the crossover. So you were already had your rep business, and being part of the community in the cannabis community, you found work in the cannabis
sort of naturally fell into obviously. But now I do about 40% of my work in the industry, and it's my favorite. Like, I love it far more than the entertainment industry, far more than politics or business. It's all, but there's, like you said, there's a lot of crossover. And I think you're going to have one of my clients on who's from the music world later today. And it wasn't until we had, he's a brand new client, and we had some extensive conversation when he saw, some of the stuff I share on Facebook. We started getting into cannabis and cannabis as medicine and everything. And you really do find, a lot more people than that have discovered this is, really healing to them and to others. And, so it's interesting as we go along and people start talking about it more and more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Coming out of
Awesome.
the cannabis closet, I guess. And I always say, too, with women, speaking of the professional world, quite often the women that I know in business who are, like, far removed from the cannabis community, I'll be working with them for 2 months or something, and, then they'll see me one day, I vape. So quietly whisper to me that they vape or something, because it's still, we think of it as all open and so we're all posting it on Facebook, but a lot of people are still worried, to this day that it's going to be detrimental to their careers, or that it will be looked at oddly, or that they will be seen professionally. So I can't tell you how many people I've introduced to those, the pre-filled pens that are out now. You don't have to put anything in. You don't have to. It's just like it's brilliant. Undercover, just quick at the office, puff, and you're not sick anymore. You're not nauseous anymore. Whatever if you have pain, whatever your issue is gone, and it's nice and subtle, and no muss, no fuss. I love it.
And with those pens, I mean, everybody uses the vaporizers for tobacco products. I mean, so nobody really has a clue what's in it, especially with all the smells and flavors they have out there now.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. And I find if you burn, flour, there'll still be a smell, like even if you're vaporizing, that's still the people have told me, oh, you smell like weed. But if you're burning, but if you smell, smoking from one of those little pens, the pre-filled ones, I've literally, used it in public spaces that were not canna spaces, on public transit when I've needed to, and nobody has even turned their head.
That's
so it's completely the future of medicine.
That's it. Nobody has a clue, right? And then, even getting away from the smoking aspects of it, nowadays with the amounts of edibles and capsules that you can buy and make, I mean, you could be consuming at any time. You could be sitting there eating your popcorn or your pretzels in a movie theater that you brought in, and they're medicated, and no one has a clue.
I remember the first person where I really saw, of course you're seeing it everywhere now, but the breadth of what you could do with cannabis as food beyond, brownies, was when I met Sam Malachi, several years ago. And Sam's doing the Royal Commission. Everyone knows Sam Malachi. He does all kinds of stuff and hero in the movement, lots of history, and he's doing the Royal Commission now. But I remember specifically, I had never seen, when he pulled out medicated spaghetti sauce. Medicated. I mean, everything, just regular food, like cake, spaghetti, just, everything you're going to be actually eating. And it will be low dose, but like a maintenance dose. And I believe he doesn't smoke. It's very rare if you see him smoke. But he eats it all. Low dose, cannabis, morning, noon, and night to continue to be well, and as a maintenance dose. And,
I do the same. I do the same. I have my infused coconut oil, and I cook dinner with it. At least one of my sides is cooked with my infused coconut oil every night for dinner as part of my maintenance dose. I add it to many products. Yes, green eggs.
Green eggs.
This year,
you just fry up your eggs with your cannabis butter, and you're ready to go. Now we know.
This year's Karma Cup Kit has some interesting products in the edibles category. I was able to sample some barbecue sauce that was infused. Ooh. And nice. Very nice way to go. A little bit concerned about cooking with it. I think the heat may take away from the terpenes and from the cannabinoids. So I used it as a top sauce at the end of cooking in order to preserve it.
I almost forgot. I have to mention this while we're talking about edibles. Now you mentioned fine edibles. Okay, you're watching my Facebook. Last week I went to this event. And they're actually out of Hamilton, but it was in Toronto at the Hot Box. The famous Hot Box.
I know what you're going to talk about.
There you go. The high society supper club. Okay, I'm not joking. We have edibles in our community. If we're lucky, we're spoiled and we've tried a lot of edibles, right?
Yeah.
But I'm seriously not joking. This menu is like super uber gourmet. Like it's, forget the fact that it's medicated. You would easily go and spend. It's like a 6-course gourmet dinner, truly gourmet dinner, and you would literally go. And plus, they have all vegan options, all regular options. Like it's really insane.
So you're talking like Chef
courses.
Ramsay style, right?
Everything medicated and everything like truly impressive. Where you're just like, wow. And everything medicated, and just the price it would be if it wasn't medicated, really, when you know that kind of level of food. But yeah, unbelievable, because it shows what. Oh, and by the way, they're hosting an event. You remember that I was working with my friend and yours, Rich Pryor Jr.
Yes,
I was here a couple of months ago. Well, this is not set in stone yet, but we're in talks right now. Richard and Rena and Louis from High Society Upper Club, myself, about Richard hosting like a celebrity dinner coming up sometime maybe around the Halloween time in Toronto. And that would be for the community. So that's like, we're putting that out there. Yeah, it's going to be, really good. But honestly, so you won't like, but working with them or not working with them or whatever, nothing is making me say this other than I was extremely impressed by like the insane level of gourmet food they put in front of us. And she does such an amazing job and works so hard, and it's like the presentation and everything and the mood and,
right.
Yeah. So if you ever get a chance to be at a high society supper club event or to, just honestly go, it's something you're not going to forget. And that's the kind of thing I think moving forward, people need to see that. It's not just a bunch of stoners. It's not brownies. It's not like these are, we can have all kinds of, we have community picnics. We have, we can have family-friendly occasions. We can have high-end dinners. We can have things. I remember a few years ago, people would say to me, but is there any cannabis place where, I could really take clients? And then the Planet Paradise was opening then. But in the early days, I would, but I know they were thinking to people that were used to taking clients to like high-end bars and, fancy schmancy, and that's what they were thinking of. And now we're starting to see that in our community, which is really interesting.
Yeah,
not
for
that
sure.
I'm necessarily always going to pay for that, but
yeah, that's
nice
right.
That it's there.
It's nice to have it occasionally. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the smaller venues that are laid back and more casual and more hippie-ish,
that's my vibe, totally.
The hippie style.
That's totally
such as
my
the
vibe.
Hot Box. The Hot Box is a prime example of that. You feel like you're on the island at Jamaica, when you're there, and it's fantastic. It's a great vibe.
And that's what we love about it.
Yeah, that's right. But then, every once in a while, you'll have, a guest or an occasion where you're going out for a nicer sort of an evening and you're all dressed up and you want to go in a little bit more classy place. And it's nice to have that option in the cannabis community.
Yeah, and I think it just shows that, the growing up of our community. I don't mean because it's a more upscale thing. I mean because we have all these options now. There are all these different options.
It's not all associated. Yeah, it's not all associated with one genre. We are capable of expanding our horizons as well.
Which shows that and it's true, because cannabis users are all Canadian. I mean, 70% of Canadians are, whatever statistics say, are either, not necessarily daily users for sure, but I mean, are, weekly or party users or whatever, call themselves a cannabis user. And so all those people have a lot of different tastes, a lot of different musical tastes, a lot of different,
That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to coming down to Toronto next month. I'll be visiting all of the lounges. I hope, I think we're getting together and you're joining me for some of that tour, I hope.
For sure.
We'll be touring the lounges in Toronto, so that should be a lot of fun. But we're just coming up on break in a couple of minutes. We're going to be going to our first break. And when we come back, I guess we can talk a little bit more about the trip to Toronto, the lounge tour, and the upcoming Karma Cup.
Okay.
Okay, so going to break for our first break. Time to pay some bills. We'll continue our conversation with Tracy Lamourie when we return. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show on the Lifestyle Network, and we'll be right back.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Bajo el cielo sin luna, las olas altas revolcando el mar. Olor de sur y la música del mar. Y yo aquí pensando en ti.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
CTCP now operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CTCP.
Man, have you been to Canadays yet? Canadays, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. Canadays. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? Canadays can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education. Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. Canadays. Have your say without saying a word. Canadays.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
Welcome back. You're back with Kim Cooper on the Pace Radio Show with our guest, Tracy Lamourie. I'd like to, at this point, take an opportunity to say thank you to our sponsors at BMA Hydroponics, CC Nexus, Canada's largest seed wholesaler, as well as Canadays in Camelford, where Al Graham is normally in the front window broadcasting live. Sorry, guys, but you'll have to just catch us over the airwaves tonight, and hopefully Al will be back in his chair out front in the Canadays window next week. So we're back with Tracy Lamourie, a public relations media consultant and representative. Tracy, you've done so much, and we've talked about a lot already. And there's one thing that I neglected to talk about that slipped my mind momentarily. You also do a lot of writing. You've written for Spliff magazine as well as Cannabis Digest, and you also recently finished a book.
I'm still writing the book, but yeah, it's all ready to go. And the publisher actually approached me to write the book, which I'm pretty excited about. I've always wanted to write a book. I think I actually have a few books in me on different topics, but it just kind of came out that the first one is about public relations because they asked me to write a book on, my PR magic, apparently. So, it's the publisher is called Propriety Publishing, and they do a lot of stuff in soft skills, sort of civility, business, communications, that kind of thing. And my book is called Get Repped, like you said, and it's kind of funny the way I titled it. I had written, part of the book, and I was thinking that the title would be the last thing I'd have to worry about. And all of a sudden, I got a message from the publisher one day that literally said, "I need the title of your book within 2 hours." Because we're doing the mock-up. And I was literally like, oh my gosh. And funnily enough, me, Facebook girl, a lot of times when I'm posting about some of the successful things some of my clients are doing, like I'll say, hey, here, my client's film has been picked up, by whatever, or my client's in the media today. And then at the end, I would say, get wrapped, it makes a difference. And then I started doing hashtag get wrapped, it makes a difference. And so that's what came into my head when she said, ask for your book. I thought, well, that's kind of a quick title. And people said to me, oh, it sounds like Get Ripped. And I thought, well, that's okay too, because it's edgy and so it's
perfect.
Get Repped, build your brand with effective public and media relations. And I kind of think it sounds like me, and it sounds like I don't want it to be it's not a hard business book aimed at like a CEO of a major company, but they could get something out of it too. It's more putting the message that you don't have to be that CEO or a celebrity or a sports star to necessarily get in the media or to have a publicist or to do it yourself. If you want to put the time into it. But if you have a message, you can get it out there. And here are some of the ways that you can effectively kind of get the attention of the media, and how do you craft your message to get the attention of the media. And though it's not about cannabis, I'm definitely going to have a chapter that's going to touch on things like how do you present things that are, to some people, controversial still. So a lot of that page is going to be with the history of the last 10 years, working in cannabis, and also some of the work I've done, which we spoke about last time I was on the show, on the death penalty, anti-death penalty work stateside. And by the way, I'm not sure if I ever mentioned that Jimmy Dennis is now free, who I fought for him when he wrote us when he was on death row back in 1998, and we were saying that he was innocent back then when we started the Justice for Jimmy Dennis campaign. In May, he was finally released from death row.
That's awesome.
So pretty exciting about that.
Yes, I know. I was following that. Yeah, following that, I
That was a
seen it
big one.
on social media. It was fantastic
I'm
to see
super
that.
emotional about that
Oh
one. Like that
yeah,
was just like a crazy day.
all that
I should mention
hard work
also, you before we forget, you had mentioned in the preview for the show about Dr.
Yes.
Ira Price, who you've had on the show before, and he's actually, if I wasn't talking right now, I'd be watching. He's actually live right now, introducing on Facebook, Introduction to Care, Kare, which is the new initiative that he has going with Starry, who has created cannabis retreats down in California.
Yes.
And so yeah, Dr. Aaron's got a lot of stuff going on too. I know you were saying you might have him back on the show maybe in the winter or something. But
yeah,
just
we're
wanted
both
to let
supposed to
people-
be at that live show right now, actually.
Yeah, well, after they listen to us, hopefully it'll be archived over there. I was watching it during the ad. I'm a devoted PR girl. So, so if you get a chance, after this fascinating conversation that we're going to have is all over, you might want to go check out Ira Price's page, Dr. Ira Price, and watch that and see what's going on in a kind of new initiative between here and California, which I think is kind of interesting to watch, to see what's different there and what's the same. And all that stuff.
Sure.
We have a cannabis retreat
Price
is amazing.
Yeah, Dr. Price.
I can't wait till anybody here.
Yeah, fantastic guy. We had him on the show. I've got to have him back for a follow-up. I love what he's doing with these live broadcasts. It's very encouraging. I've actually sent 2 northern doctors to Dr. Price for information on cannabinoid therapy, and I have a few of them using his pre-planned dosage guide that he has available for physicians. So yeah, turning physicians on in Northern Ontario to Dr. Price for sure.
Really nice thing too is that having someone to direct physicians who still feel uncomfortable or uneducated about it, or they just don't get it yet. They weren't taught about it in medical school, so they don't feel like they have a handle on it. And so to have another doctor come from a medical perspective, like he always says, he doesn't practice activism, we practice medicine here.
That's right.
So he comes from a doctor perspective, and he's passionate about it, but for scientific reasons. You know what I mean? Which is really, really powerful to have him on the side of the community to present to media and that kind of thing. Because he's not like when I had placed him on I can't remember which show now, was Calgary or Alberta or something. He was doing talk radio there, mainstream talk radio, and the host actually said to him, we've never had a source like you. We always hear from cannabis advocates who want more cannabis. They were kind of laughing at us like that, and they're like, well, that doesn't, we get that. I mean, yeah, of course they want more cannabis. But you hear from a doctor, from a scientific perspective, who's like, no, I was working in the emergency room, and I came to it because of what I'm seeing there, and this is the solution I'm finding to the opioid crisis. And, that's what he speaks on, is it came literally from, he's still an emergency room doctor. And we keep hearing politicians finally talking about the opioid crisis, but there is a true crisis when, in Hamilton, for example, they say 90 out of 100 people had opioid prescriptions. These are serious, serious drugs. They're worried about dispensaries, and they're putting people on these, really life-changing and not in a good way opioids, making them zombies if they don't kill them. And it's literally being prescribed, like overprescribed like crazy. So to have, and Dr. Ira is not the only one doing it, but he's, pretty prestigious in the field and getting his name out there a lot, and, medically they know him. But there are other doctors in California, and there are about, 2 who are doing this kind of work. And, it's so important. And finally, it's starting to spread, like you said, to the doctors in Northern Ontario and, Southern Ontario, and places where traditionally, it's hard enough to even get a doctor, let alone a doctor you can speak to about cannabis, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, spreading the education, that's what it's all about. We need more people like Dr. Price that has opened their mind and allowed themselves to look at the real evidence and then make a judgment call based on that. Like you say, he's not an advocate, he's a doctor. It's not about being an activist. It's about being judging the science on its face.
He's an advocate for his patients now, and because what he discovered, he advocates for cannabis. But yeah, it's not like the way the media had said we hear a lot about cannabis advocates wanting more cannabis. And I kind of rolled my eyes at that. But I see their point. I see their point and probably that's what governments think too.
Yeah.
You know, so we need more people coming from a different perspective that
that's
can,
right.
you know,
there's a bigger picture.
Exactly.
For sure. There's a bigger picture for sure. Dr. Price, you've had many clients. You were going to be doing our little vapor tour when I come down to the city, but you did your own little vapor lounge tour recently. I was supposed to be a part of that, but I wound up in hospital. Yeah, well, I wound up in hospital and I couldn't.
Only excuse will accept.
But I was
funny. I was laughing. So our American tourist friend.
Yes,
I was the one taking him around. We're talking about Richard Pryor Jr. But it's funny because I was the one taking him around to Toronto, and I kept saying, well, I can see a tower. Did you want to do that? And I was totally willing to do all that, but we always ended up at the Vapor Lounge. And fourth or fifth day, I was joking. Well, this is kind of Toronto with Tracy. You could go to see a tower, or do you want it? And he's like, no, I'm good with the vape. I'm good with the hot box. So that was doing my celebrity, right? And I'm the celebrity concierge and publicist for the weekend. Where do we end up? 4 vapor lounges.
4 vapor lounges. We're doing a vape tour with Richard Pryor. Yeah.
And he loves it.
Great. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm so sorry I missed Richard when he was in town. I was looking forward to getting together with him.
Well, specifically, the second day we were together in the hotel, we were at David just done a little interview where he met randomly. He made us laugh. Richard did by somebody mentioning edibles at the end of it, which we didn't expect. He said, if you come to the show with edibles, you could probably get in free. And then he cracked up and Dave laughed and Dave kind of covered his mouth like, oops. And then right after that, we stopped filming and we were all laughing. And Richard said, Kim will like that.
He knows me well.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Too funny. Too funny, hilarious. You represent so many people. We're going to have somebody joining us in a little while as one of your latest clients. They're in a band, Cypher, I think is the name.
Cypher, yeah, and they are really awesome. I'm the publicist, so you'd expect me to say that, but seriously, I take on things that really mean something to me. And this band, it's funny, it's actually really turned out to be really timely with everything that's ended up going on in the news in the last 2 weeks. Sadly, having to bring us back to the fight against fascism and racism on a level that I'm shocked that we're seeing in 2017. But these guys come from the same kind of background as I do, which is 25 years ago. Before I was smoking cannabis, and before I was a public cannabis activist, or before I was an anti-death penalty activist, and before I was an activist against a million different social ills. I was an anti-racist activist. It's one of the very first things that I ever did, and I was really public about it. And we had a radio show back in 1994. My husband Dave and I called Uppercut, and we used to get threats from neo-Nazis in those days. In the 1990s.
That was on Cogeco, wasn't it?
Before that, even that was years later. This was on CIUT in Toronto, 89.5 FM radio, and we used to get threats from neo-Nazis and all kinds of stuff, and we get targeted because of our activist work that we're standing up for all kinds of marginalized communities. And so, sadly that these communities, we kind of bashed them down in Toronto in the 90s, but some of these communities are getting empowered again. I shouldn't say communities. We call them boneheads, neo-Nazis, whatever you want to call them, are feeling empowered and able to come out in the public again. Well, a few months ago, my clients, 5 years, my new clients now, they put out an album. And they've been around for 3 years, but they've been, in the scene for 25 years, like me. And they put out an album, and the second song on it is called Punch a Nazi. And the first tongue in cheek, it wasn't actually telling you to go out and do that as a solution to violence, because obviously violence begets violence. But it was just speaking on some of the reasons why you might want to. But actually, it was tongue in cheek. But however, they're very serious about fighting fascism and racism. And the T-shirt that I got at their show the other day said "Stand Together Against Fascism," and I've been wearing that for the last few days, and thankfully getting a lot of really positive response just on the street. Not about the band, but just on the street with the message. Stand together against fascism. People saying, "I like your shirt," and all that. So wash it and wear it again because it's an important message right now. But So I knew that, but I didn't know there was a 420 connection until, our further conversation. And apparently almost every time they get up on stage, they talk about cannabis. And they have a couple of songs that mention cannabis. And I'll let my client tell you the truth, but, his truth and his story. But he told me that, cannabis as medicine saved his life. Yeah. And that he uses various strains, for various different things to manage different things. And so I think he's going to speak on that. And
so much crossover.
His page.
Yeah, so much crossover, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what he posted on his page today, just now, when he knew he was going to be a guest. He said, "What's I can't remember exactly, but he said, what does the fight against fascism and 420 have in common? Listen up to find out." So that's what people are going to hear, I guess, at 9:00.
Yeah, so excellent, really excellent. Well, yeah, we're happy to have your clients or your clients on with us tonight. That's fantastic to see. They're two very, very important subjects and prominent subjects that are in people's minds right now with the state of affairs, the way things are in the United States as well as Canada right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's lots and lots of crossover with those subjects. So we look forward to that. So for our listeners, stay tuned. Seifier will be with us just after the second break, which is coming up in about 9 minutes. So Tracy, I want to go backwards a little bit, because when we talked about your writing, we kind of skipped right onto your book. But you also do writing for a couple of publications as well. Spliff being one of them, Cannabis Digest another. You've done two full-page, double-page spread in Cannabis Digest even.
I think I've actually had 4 of them in Cannabis Digest now. I've had 4 because it comes out seasonally. And I was not in this last one because I missed the deadline, but I have a regular column. And normally I just write on Ontario and, what's happening in Ontario and some of the kind of stuff that we spoke about Hamilton today. I keep abreast of the court cases. I was attending most of the Cannabis Culture 5 hearings in Toronto. And, let people know what's going on with the people and the places and some of the benefits and all that stuff. With Cannabis Digest. And with Spliff, Spliff is a Toronto-based free publication that you find at, a lot of our cannabis spaces. And they just asked me to write actually about, that's Abby Roach's publication, who owns the Hot Box also. And they just asked me to write about what's going on in Hamilton today. So, that's what I'm working on right now.
Very cool.
And I love that because I want to actually expand on that and take some of my writing. I haven't submitted anything to any of the media that I work with, in my other work, but the local Hamilton paper had asked me if I wanted to write on a community issue, and I haven't done that yet. So I'm just figuring how I'm going to present it and definitely take advantage of the chance to write about, cannabis for a more mainstream audience here in Hamilton.
Excellent. Now, your writing, what do you do to prepare? Like, I know some writers have sort of rituals that they go through before they sit down and write. Other ones are just kind of spur of the moment on a piece of paper and then transcript it later. And, everybody's got their own little thing on how they do it. What's your thing?
Sometimes I write in longhand. Like if I have a long travel to do, I'll actually write on the bus and I'll just get a whole lot done when no one's bugging me. But other times, I find it's funny, my writing process, maybe in my head, I'll actually put it off for a long, long time. I'll be like, oh gosh, I've got this 1,000-word thing to write. Oh, geez, I have to write that. And I don't know why, because writing itself is actually easy for me. Like once I sit down and start writing, I don't do a lot of re-edits or like I mostly just stream of consciousness write, and then I read it and I may switch around a paragraph or something like that later. But mostly it almost comes out in full, it almost just comes out once I actually start. But up until that point, it's like I'm almost dreading it, and I'm sitting there, oh, I gotta write. Then I'll just force myself, go sit down for the next hour. You're just gonna write that piece. 5 minutes later, I may have the whole thing done. So I don't know if it's percolating in my head or procrastinator, but
your subconscious is forming it.
And then it just comes out in one, oh, that's what I wanted to say. Sounds good.
Right on, right on, right on. Yeah, I've been for about 7 months now. I've been contemplating writing, and everybody that I speak to that has had any experience in writing, I kind of try and get some feedback from them on how do you go about getting into the right
What do other people
mindset.
say?
A
What do
lot
other
of
people say?
a lot of people recommend sativa.
Oh, well, yeah, that goes without saying. I'm always, okay, did I forget to say, be medicated?
Yeah.
That goes without saying. For sure. Before you even start writing, go and smoke, 2 joints of your finest in the bathroom, or if you don't smoke, I know Dr. Ira will tell me to stop. I have to stop vaporizing, so I got to stop saying go smoke. But go medicate. Whatever you got to do, eat your medications, smoke one, get into a comfortable frame of mind. And actually, that's not a joke. That's actually true because, you do want to, you don't have to, obviously, but I mean, you do want to be in a relaxed frame of mind, and you do want to sit there, and be in a space where your, thoughts can, you don't want to be stressed out. You don't want to be thinking about 10 other things. You don't want to be, you do want to be in a space where it's quiet and you can focus on your thoughts. So, yeah.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I guess you just got to be in the right frame of mind. And I find it very easy to write in my blogs and on social media and that kind of thing. So I don't think it'll be, it's just still something that I've got to actually make the time for.
Yeah, but you don't realize how much you write. Like, you might write on a social media post 800 words and you don't even notice it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just a matter of, you want to put those, like I keep telling myself too, I do so much blah, blah, blah on social media, and then later I want to copy it, I can't even find where it was. We need, that's writing. There's a lot of stuff that we spend time on saying and spend time on that we don't even think of it as writing. So just, open up a piece of paper and start writing, or a blank page on your screen and start writing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Excellent.
Now I'm going to bug you. I want to see the Kim articles.
Wait, give me the time until at least after the Karma Cup, okay? My brain is not in the right place for doing much of anything these days. Oh God, yeah. So yeah, are you going to be attending the Karma Cup this year? Will I be seeing you there?
You know what? I'm really conflicted. I have a problem. I didn't realize it was the same weekend, but I'm the London Beatles Festival, which I'm paid to be the public relations person at, is that exact same weekend in London, Ontario.
Oh no!
I know. So everybody in the world is coming to Toronto, and I'll be going to London. So I'll get to see you before, because I know you're coming down early.
Yes, I am. I'm coming down early, so I can see everybody and make time for everyone.
Because the Karma Cup has conspired against me, because last year was at the end of September, and I was able to do both. But this year, no.
Yes, they changed the date because of the weather issues last year.
Yeah.
They thought it would be better in a warmer climate, which is probably the right way to go. But
on the plus side, even before I loved cannabis, I did love the Beatles when I was 10 years old. So in the long lifetime run, maybe I can't cry. I'm really sad. It's the first time I even admitted it, because I was like hoping that magically, I don't know, something would happen and be able to be at both. But yeah, I don't think so.
Oh well, such is life. We will absolutely be hooking up during our Vape Lounge tour, which I hope people look up and find out where we're going to be and when, and join us at the various lounges around the city. While I see what's new in Toronto, in my hometown, it changes so much from visit to visit. I only get to.
You're going to go visit the Rexall?
Yeah, I'm
the new Rexall.
Yeah, the new Rexall.
Yeah.
It's no longer the Brunswick House from what I hear.
Isn't that just depressing? Even though it's been a long time since I was at the Brunny, it's still like, what? Just people don't know what we're talking about, but the Brunswick House, classic Toronto, like 100-year-old Toronto bar or something, with like long tables where everybody in the world remembers, drinking when they were young.
Yes.
In college years.
If you lived in Toronto, you went to the Brunswick House. It was simple as that. Everybody called it the Brunny.
Yeah. ready,
it was up at Bathurst and Bloor area.
We all had our moments there in college age years,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It's closed recently. I remember hearing, and it closed a couple months ago, but today I learned it is now a Rexall pharmacy, and I'm like, wow, at least a dispensary or something. I mean, come on, like a pharmacy.
Yeah. How much Toronto is changing. But the good side is there's always a new vapor lounge, or a vapor lounge has been renovated, or something has been added, and there's new dispensaries, and there's always new stuff to see in the cannabis community that's going on. The festivals that happen there, there's the Newt Vert, and the Green Market, and at Puff Mama's every weekend every other weekend there's baked goods available. I mean, all of these cannabis related events are happening in that city on a regular basis now.
Just building exponentially. Yeah, it's amazing to see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just noticed it's second break time. Time to pay some bills again.
Okay.
Time to pay some bills. So we'll be back in a few minutes and continue our conversation with Tracy Lamourie. And when we return,
and we're calling Michael, right?
Yeah, we will also have our extra guest on this evening to show us a bit of a connection and crossover connection, 420 connection in the music industry and in the world at large today, and what this band is representing there. So we're going to join us in a few minutes with Cypher and Tracy Lamourie on the Pace Radio Show on Lifestyle Radio. Tracy Lamourie.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Bajo el cielo de Cuicuitlas, la playa desierta brillante la luna allá. Olor de arena y la música del bar.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
Man, have you been to Canadays yet? Canadays, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. Canadays. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? Canadays can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education. Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. Canadays. Have your say without saying a word. Canadays.ca.
Hi, this is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
Las olas altas revolcando el mar, olor de sur y la música del bar. Y yo aquí,
And we're back live on lifestyleradio.net. If you miss our live shows, don't forget you can catch our podcasts on Mixcloud, YouTube, and iTunes. If you're located in the USA, you can also find us on iHeartRadio. Tonight, our guest is Tracy Lamourie from Get Repped, and Lamourie representative for media and public relations. She's got us with a brand new guest joining us for the last part of our segment of our show. We've got Michael from Cypher with us, and he is a musician in the USA that is speaking out and standing up.
Canada.
In Canada, and standing up and speaking out against, the racism and the bigotry that's going on in this country right now and across the country and in the USA. And there's a 420 connection. So I'd like to welcome now Michael to the show. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, thanks, Kim.
Thanks for coming on. Why
awesome
don't you tell us a little bit about your story and the 420 connection?
Well, it's my story is pretty simple. I just had some good ideas. Met a guy who can make music, and he said, "No, tell a bunch of poems about what's going on in your life, and we'll put it to music." At first it was a bit of a joke. At the time, to tie it into 420, I walked with a cane, quite commonly a walker. Because of my back, I've got a nerve ending that's intertwined with my spinal column. It's not fun.
Oh, goodness.
But it is what it is. And I met a friend who told me, try marijuana. And I'd smoked a little pot when I was a kid. It wasn't anything that I really enjoyed or wasn't a big deal to me. Until I tried marijuana and was able to play soccer with my kids and do all those things because I wasn't in pain all the time.
Medicinal effects.
Yeah, but that's been literally saved my life. I hadn't performed on a stage. We did Overthought, our first record, which is kind of a call to arms about suicide, and we couldn't even perform it live for the first 6 months because I couldn't get on a stage. And now we're doing 30, 40 shows a year.
Wow.
So, the ability to use something that isn't screwing up my liver all the time to not be in pain is awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once again, the medicinal aspects of cannabis over pills. If you're taking the pills, you're killing your liver, you're stuck on the couch, you're immobile, and they don't really work all that well.
Yeah, like I took everything, and it was the day my doctor said, "Oh, the next step is Oxycontin." And then I said, "Whoa, back the fucking truck, pardon my language, back the truck up."
Yeah.
Because I'm not taking any drug that's known on the street as hillbilly heroin. It's just not happening.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Not pills, for sure.
They try to push it at this point. If it wasn't for Cypher, it actually making a little bit of money being a musician, I can't work because of my back, and I still can't get my doctor to sign disability paperwork because I'm not taking pills. So that's the way the medical profession looks at it in this province. That's the way it is. Not much you can do, but
oh my God. And that's the need for the education for the doctors. We have to get more doctors educated. Just because you're not taking their prescribed pills doesn't mean that you're not hurting.
I think that there's been such an ignorance. And when I first started trying to get on medical cannabis, it was a fight of 3.5 years just to get in to see a doctor because I kept getting blocked at every roadblock. Oh, you need this paperwork, you need that paperwork.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you're just smoking cannabis anyways because you're like, holy, it works.
Yeah, well, shit on that, I'm going to do it, right?
Like, why should I be in pain and strung out on pills and everything? And it was about a year after my license got approved, I started thinking to myself, well, I've got, a notebook full of mental issues. I wonder which of those pills I can get rid of. And I haven't taken a pharmaceutical medication now in a year.
Excellent.
Nothing.
Excellent. And we hear this a lot from patients. You get put on a pill for whatever your ailment is. We'll use pain for an example. One pill for pain, and that causes a side effect. Or it makes you depressed or something, and you're always listless because of the pill. So then they put you on an antidepressant or something, and then that causes a side effect. And by the time 6 months is up, you're on 15 pills a day.
Oh, at one point, I think when I finally threw out all my pills, I think I was up around 18 or 19 pills because my back hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, and those, everybody says, oh, pills don't have lasting effects. Well, the anxiety didn't go away. The depression didn't go away because I'd been taking those pills for 6-7 years.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So now your brain is used to something else supplementing the chemical.
Yeah.
And so now, I'm very, very picky about what strains I use, but I have different strains that I use from the minute I get up till the minute I go to sleep. I think there's 11 different ones that I do use. And all of them, combat a different side effect of some medication they had me on for years because nobody wanted to say, hey, this plant can cure you.
See, and that is so important that you bring that up, that the different strains that you use at the different times of the day actually replace the different pills that you used to be on. And that's what people have to understand. Just because you get a prescription for cannabis, not all cannabis is created equal. One strain may not help your issue. It could actually make it worse. So treating yourself by strain-related illness is very important.
Probably the hardest thing about getting your cannabis license, if you're going through, whether you're using a dispensary at LP or whatever you're doing, I don't tell people how they should obtain their product. But at the same time, what I do tell a lot of people that come up to me after shows and stuff, because I'll be outside smoking a joint out front, and they'll go, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, no, it's legal. Don't worry. They'll start asking me a lot of questions. And one of the things I tell them is, over half the strains I use have less than 3% THC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to get high.
That's right.
I'm not going to lie. I do have a few strains that I keep around the house for those nights when I need to write music, and I'm like, I need a little added creativity.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have a medicine, you might as well get to enjoy it now and then.
For sure.
It's the way I see it.
Sure.
It's. I think the one distinction, and this may come off as a negative, but for me, one of the things that I did was I traded pills for cannabis. Yeah, there are days where I'm just like, I'd rather be in pain than smoke cannabis. Just like there were days I would rather be in pain than have pills. That's because nobody wants to be in an altered state 100% of the time.
That's right.
If you are, how do you ever, so there are negatives. I'm not going to sit here and go, it's the perfect wonder drug. It's not the cure-all, but it sure beats what I was doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you say, nobody wants to be in an ultra state 100% of the time. Nobody wants to rely on having just the fact that we have to take something to get through the day makes you not angry enough not to want to do it. But that's rebellion against our illness.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what that comes down to. That's our own selves just rebelling against our own illness and saying, "Fuck you, you're not doing this to me no more." But yet, there's absolutely nothing we can do about it.
No, it sucks that way.
Yeah.
And you know, and the other thing that I've found very, very funny is in my work, we have a very, very strong opinion about certain aspects of today's culture. You know, most specifically the alt-right.
And we talk about that. I mentioned that a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of intro for you, talking about that history. You guys should definitely talk about that. Yeah.
Years and years and years ago, of course, I was like every other dumb kid and thought that shaving my head and throwing on a pair of combat pants and boots was a great idea. But I could never get behind. Every time I'd go out and I'd go to a party and there'd be a bunch of skinheads there because I liked the music. So I thought I'll go out and hang out with the people.
Yeah.
Their message didn't jive with mine because I don't believe stuff like, you know, the color of your skin means shit. It doesn't. It doesn't. Right. It to me, it's just you know, it's what makes us unique is we all look different. It's no different than having a different size nose. So I realized very long ago. So in the 90s, I used to run around with the guys in Sharp thinking, okay, well, if I disagree with their message this strongly, then I should do something about it. So that's always been something that's been there.
Yeah.
And when we formed Cypher, originally the idea was, like I said, it was a lark. We were bored. I used to write a lot of poetry to deal with some of my own suicidal impulses, things like that. So we took those poems, we turned them into songs. And we wrote an album that it's really, really hard to listen to because it's dark, it's depressing. And we thought, okay, well, that's good. That's what we want to do. Unfortunately for us, people bought it and listened to it. And then we had to follow it up with a second album. So we did an album that we decided to use metaphor for everything and it didn't work. But then came the third album and we signed to a record label and we had an album due in July. We were starting to work on the album in September of last year. And then the election started in the States and I went, I can't stand for that. Like, I can't watch that happen. So we wrote the Real Politic album, which is the album that's out now. And when we sent it into the record company, the first thing they said was, oh, my God, you know my heart. There's 11 songs about fascism and one song about a baseball umpire. And I'm like, yep.
The important stuff.
So, which is kind of like fascism, only wearing a mask. But the Jays are winning tonight, so I'm in a good mood. But no, so we put the album out, and then the first show we did live with it, we were very vocal about. Tracy saw us this past weekend. I'm very vocal on stage about what I feel and how I feel about it, and I really don't care who's listening. They paid for the privilege of getting yelled at.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'll get on stage and you know, some of the songs on the album are like the titles are like No Fun in Fascism, Media Whore, or my personal favorite, Punch a Nazi in the Face for Peace.
That's my favorite too. That was Media Whore.
And it's funny, actually. We thought Punch a Nazi was going to be the big seller with the current climate, and Media Whore somehow is the song that keeps bringing everybody to the album. And I'm like, I don't get it. It's a great little song about punching Nazis over here. This is the life lesson.
I gravitate to about punching Nazis, especially.
Perfect.
So we released Punch a Nazi as a single, and we put a rather dramatic cover to it. It's a swastika being smashed by a black glove that says Cypher on it, and it looks like an old World War II poster. So we put that together for the single cover because I wanted to do something outlandish.
Yeah.
And we put it up on Facebook and then shared it out on Twitter. Well, wouldn't you know, within 24 hours of sharing it out on Twitter, I get this message from someone who claims to be from Richard Spencer's office. asking us how we can promote violence towards Nazis. And I thought, well, it's not hard. Like, it's really easy. I open my mouth, the shit comes out.
Oh my God.
But
they were trying to get you off Twitter, basically, right?
Then they tried to have us banned from Twitter, and, which was funny as hell, because I'm going, they're not going to ban us. Okay, you said over here that you want America for whites only. Like, come on, pal. Like, nothing I'm saying is more offensive than that. And anybody that reads Milo Yiannopoulos' Twitter account for more than 5 minutes is probably ready to throw up at this point. So we basically wrote Twitter back going, the song's tongue-in-cheek, give the song a listen, hear the song, you'll understand it's not promoting violence, it's actually promoting the attitude towards violence that everybody's got because of this rise of the alt-right. Mm-hmm. And, of course, even the most blunt song we have, I have to explain. And we've had, I was told by a gentleman at a show in London, Ontario, that if we played Punch Nazi live, the alt-right was going to cave my skull in.
Oh, my God.
We've played it now 13 straight shows. I am still skull intact. I'm happy to report.
They used to call up our radio show in the 90s and threaten us and tell us what clothes we were wearing that day. And then I'd be like, great, you mean you stood across the street and looked at me, but you were too scared to say anything? Fuck off. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
We played at a little place. It was a clubhouse for a friend of mine. He's got a basement kind of clubhouse, bring your own beer. And we played Punch a Nazi, and of course everybody's yelling along because that's what happens when we play the song.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I realized I was standing in a room full of nationalists singing Punch a Nazi, going, "Oh fuck, I got to get out of here."
Oh my God.
We've had we've had our interesting times with it too. We played a couple of festivals. We really recently played Freedom Fest in New Brunswick. And before the festival, they asked us not to play the song. And I'm like, you don't want me to play the song that sells. Thanks so much for that.
Yeah.
And in the middle of our set, the organizer just walked up to the stage and said, if I have one more crowd member complain to me that you can't play the damn song, I'm going to get mad. Just play the stupid thing.
There you go. There you go.
Good.
Crowd speaks one more time, right?
I mean,
their voices and their feet and their dollars.
Yeah.
Tying that back into, everything else, the only way people are going to get heard is if they speak. That's really what our message is. So, yeah, we're political, and a big part of our politics is, anti-fascism, but the other part of our message that people seem to miss is every single album has at least one song on it that's very pro-420.
Yep.
We make sure of it. Like, it's buried in the album. You have to find it, but it's there.
It's there.
We're working on a new album right now, or a new box set of our old music right now, and each of us is writing a song, and I'm currently writing a song that's all pro-420 and not subtle and not hiding, and it's in your face, but... I think it's, it's all the part and parcel of the same thing. It's all government controlling what we can do and how we do it. So
that's right. And I mean, none of this would be possible. No, not at all. And none of this would be possible if it wasn't for cannabis getting you back up on that stage.
That's exactly what I say. Tracy got to see one of the shows, and I apologized to her profusely after the show, where even cannabis wasn't cutting the pain that much, so I wasn't moving a lot, but I was still on the stage.
It's amazing to know that you were. It's amazing to know that you were actually using a walker just a few years ago. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I mean, now you're back out on the stage doing what you love. I mean, regardless of how much you move, you're up there and you're doing what your calling is.
Absolutely, it gives people their lives back, right? So I mean, it's an excellent. Everybody I've known, but I've known people who've got, all sorts of different ailments that have switched to cannabis, have raved about it, except I know one person, and that's my mother, that tried it and said, nope, it's not for me. I don't like it. That's fine.
Yeah, Dr. Ira, I think Ira had said to you, my other client, Dr. Ira Price, when speaking with him about him earlier, I think Kim, when he was on your show, he was saying what he always says, which is, we practice medicine, not cannabis advocacy, but he is a great advocate for cannabis. And what he says is, like it's medicine. It's not a cure-all for every single person for every single thing. And he said, so for if you take five, I think he says if you take 5 people, it'll be the answer. It'll be really, really good for 2 of them. The other 2 may or may not get anything out of it. And the 5th one, it might not be good for them. It might not be. It's not like it's bad for them, but it may not be the solution. It may not, fix their ailment or whatever. So but I mean, those are pretty good. The 2 that are walking again and talking again and able to function again, that's pretty good.
It should. It's awesome. Not for everybody, but it should always be able to be
an option. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's something where I think like any medication, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that there are no pharmaceuticals that have done good for people. I mean, I have a son that has ADHD severely, and he's too young for cannabis. And he uses a pharmaceutical that helps him, but it's also very monitored. We make sure it's not a problem. The reality of the situation
is bad. Oh, no,
not all absolutely.
Is bad.
Yeah, you have to take everything in, I think to be, you have to
They're overused.
take the good and the bad of all medicine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the problem with pharmaceuticals is too many doctors just read the book and throw them at you without, it really being the solution for you. For 5, it may be the same as with cannabis. For 5 people, maybe one person really needs that pharmaceutical. One person it's going to really harm, and the other people's maybe going to screw. You know what I mean? So yeah, the same kind of thing. There's nothing that's the answer for everyone and everything. Nothing.
Yeah, it should be a last resort, not the go-to thing.
Yeah.
If you think about it, acetaminophen. I mean, we've only been taking acetaminophen for, what is it now, like 100 years.
Yeah.
We don't know what the long-term effects of Tylenol are. We've determined somewhere along the way that this doesn't need a prescription because this pill doesn't show any obvious effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
exactly. Only some immediate effects. Yeah.
Well, we're running really late. This was fantastic.
Sorry about that.
But it's like, no, it's okay. It's fantastic. I don't want to cut you off, but you know what? I've got your contact info. We've got to have you back on for a full show. I thank you very much for joining us tonight for this short little bit. I wish we had more time, but I'm already 10 minutes past my shout out time because I let it go so long. So Tracy, real quick, shout out. Who do you want to give your shout out to?
Real quick, Ontario Medicinal Marijuana is an organization that I don't work for. I just friends with them, and I asked them if they had anything they want me to say to the community today, and they said they're looking for high CBD products for patients. So if anybody has a line on like high CBD powders, he said solids or flour, then please, inbox me and let me know, and I'll forward to them. They have some specific patients. They deal mostly with elderly and very, very sick people, and they're looking for high CBD. If anybody can give us any information on that, let me know.
Oh, excellent. And the OMM are an awesome organization. George is a friend to the show as well. Love what he's doing. Michael, I'll give you an opportunity to, since you're here, you might as well throw in a shout out. How can people find out about you and your band?
Well, the easiest way to find us is on Facebook. Just look up Cypher, CYPHIER. Or you can search us on Bandcamp. You're going to find 2 pages for now, but listen to both of them. They're both great, and thanks to everybody. Huge shout out, though. I got to mention him, or he'll kill me, to the other half of my brain, Jason Norwood, because without him, none of what we do would be possible. So,
Excellent. Excellent. I'm going to give a real quick shout out tonight to, who am I going to give my shout out to? I don't have anything planned. Who am I going to give it to, Tracy? Oh my goodness. I'm going to give it to the Karma Cup. Okay, that's what I'm going to give it to. The Karma Cup, of course. That's why
all her samples.
That's why I'm brain dead, because I'm sampling the Karma Cup, okay? So yeah, the Karma Cup is happening on the 8th and 9th, the 9th and the 10th of September, the weekend. I will be there broadcasting live with my friends from Lifestyle Radio. Hopefully Al Graham, our co-host, will be joining us, and he will be well enough to join us there, and I look forward to spending some time with him as as well as our producer, the man behind the baggie, Mr. Al Rapp. And I'm also told that Mr. Ross Middleton from BMA Hydroponics will also be joining us at the Karma Cup this year. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. I'm also in town on the Wednesday prior to the Cup, and we'll be doing a 420 tour around the city for 3 days prior to the Cup. So watch for my Facebook feed posts on where I'm going to be and hook up with me on one of my stops. I'll be going from Belleville to Hamilton and everything in between. So check me out online and hook up with me on one of my stops while I'm on my Toronto tour. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We are back next week at the same time, same place. And I will have on next week, who do I have? I have Brittany Guerrera on next week from Cloud9. So look for that. And she also has a new enterprise going on with jewelry. So that should be interesting. So yeah, back next
that's
week.
Called Canna Gems, yeah.
Canna Gems, yeah. We'd like to thank our sponsors, BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario, as well as CC Next, Canada's largest seed wholesaler, found at ccnexus.global. Thank you so much to our man behind the baggie, Al Rapp of Lifestyle Radio, and to our guest tonight, Tracy Lamourie, as well as Michael from Cypher. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in, and everybody have a great night. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for having us.
Later.
So what are you doing? Nothing. Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle